Hello, my absolutely beautiful Gemini friends, and welcome to your horoscope for September of 2023. We're Gemini right out of the gate. A couple pieces of information. First of all, we are about 6 weeks out from the eclipse energies that are going to start to vibrate into our space. So I want you to know that going into the month and start to do an actual somatic check-in. Check in with your body. Put your feet on the floor, put your hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and I want you to just breathe and feel your space. Quiet that beautiful Gemini mind of yours, quiet the noise, and just feel the vibration of your body and the space around you, because this is the percolation of the eclipse energy that is getting ready to come in October and create our next big wave of shifts and adjustments. So start to tap into like the ground level frequency so that when the changes are happening, they're a little bit more easily able to identify. Okay, now the other thing is that your ruling planet Mercury is going to come out of retrograde this month. Venus is coming out of retrograde and Jupiter is stepping into retrograde, which is actually quite good because all of this expansion and things getting bigger, it's so great. And there have been some real lessons, I think, but sometimes we need to put a pause and a pin in the expansion so that we can rethink, rework, readjust, and re-understand the wisdom behind what we've been learning and expanding in. And this will be a phenomenal time to be able to do that. So more of that information coming up in just a minute, but let's start at the beginning of the month and see what's going on. So right away on the 3rd, we see Venus turning direct in that energy of Leo, which is just your 3rd house space. Now, you've been working on this 3rd house of communication, contracts, decision making, teaching, writing, learning, things with siblings. Your network has likely been quite busy, like the people around you, who's in your network, who's in your social sphere, the way that you communicate. All of these things have been under a pretty good review. If you think back to June 19th, where we saw Venus move into this pre-retrograde shadow position at 12 degrees of Leo, all the way through the 28 degree of Leo mark, this is where the work has really been. So as always, this is where it's happening, the 3rd house in the general, but I want you to grab your own chart and look at where this has happened for you personally and what are the themes that have been attached to it, okay? So while Venus has been retrograde, really truly, it's this energy where Venus retrograde is really not about the height of Venus's presence. It's about the absence of Venus's strong presence, right? So when Venus is direct, we go, okay, this is what I want. This is what I value. I can kind of go along with this. I see that there is connection. There is, this is okay. I can go along with it. But when Venus goes retrograde in your 3rd house of communication, we don't have that brilliant, yummy, this is all okay vibration of Venus working for us. Instead, it's like, no, now wait a minute. Do I value this? Do I have people in my life and in my social network who are about quantity and they're not actually quality? And you have to start looking at this because Venus will take those rose-colored glasses off when it goes retrograde to get you to ask the questions about value. And it also makes us question what, who, when, why, communications around us, if they are valuable. Now, I suggest highly that you don't make any big long-term decisions about the things that are valuable to you when Venus is in retrograde. Instead, we wait until Venus is out because a retrograde is such an internal job, right? It's internal seeking, these questions of our own value, of finance, relationship, self-worth, things like that. And desire, really truly, and Venus is an attracting energy. So it also is a vibration that is being chipped away at a little bit in terms of the quality of things so that you can get clear on what you value, and the clarity helps you to attract in what you need. Venus is simply an attracting in vibration. So what are you pulling in? What are you telling the universe? Yep, I'm ready to have that. And the universe is like, okay, boss, you got it. And Venus is attracting that in, especially in Leo. Leo, because, in Leo, it's a fire energy, so it's going to go big or go home. So are you attracting in a lot of conflict? Are you attracting in a lot of quantity of people? Are you attracting in quantity of information and it's not actually the quality that you want? So as Venus comes direct here, I really would encourage you to remember that while Venus comes direct on the 3rd, it's not actually done with the full Venus retrograde cycle until October 7th, okay? And after that, moving forward, and certainly every week that we inch towards 2024, it may feel a little bit like what you're trying to communicate. You're trying to externalize these changes that have happened during this cycle from June to October in a very internal way, and they're maybe not coming out as clear as you'd like. So slow down and just think quality. What is the quality that I'm trying to communicate in my book, in my class, in what I'm learning, what I'm studying, in the conversations that I'm having with people, in things that I need to communicate in a contract? What's the quality I need to create here? And if you take your time, by the time we see ourselves really truly at the end of 2024, I think that you will understand your own thought process and your own communication better. And you will also have people in your social network that are the quantity in alignment with the clarity of where you want to go and what you want to have vibe. And I love that for you. Okay. Now, when we get to the 4th, we're going to see Jupiter taking that retrograde in the energy of Taurus. Now, Jupiter is going to work between 15 degrees of Taurus and 5 degrees of Taurus, okay? So this has been in your 12th house space. All of the things in the 12th house, things where maybe you found an expansion of time, Gemini, that you needed to be by yourself. Maybe you were put in situations or circumstances of being that put you by yourself, and you were like, the thing is it's so interesting because Jupiter is not only just expanding the energy here, right? And again, it's this question of value and taking a risk and quality, not just quantity in your life. But what can happen is too, sometimes in the 12th house, you expand so quickly that you get knocked on your physical butt, or sometimes you get knocked on your perspective and wisdom butt to rethink the mission, the direction, the goals, the philosophies you've had that have been guiding your path here. Now, I do know that I've heard from some of you that in the 12th house work with Jupiter being here, one of the things that you've done is you've really expanded the spiritual content that is in your life. And so something that can be happening as Jupiter is in review in retrograde is that you've brought in the new content, you've brought in the new teacher or the new information and lessons, right? Because you value it now. And as Jupiter's retrograde, you have to slow down and assimilate it. Bring it into your real daily practice and then have time to have a look around at what that actually means to you. That's great that you learned your yoga poses, but what does it mean when you stand in that position? Where do you see that time on your yoga mat at 6 a.m. is translating into some kind of benefit or clarity or perspective at 6 p.m. in your day, right? So it's really this energy when Jupiter slows the expansion and you get to review what you've believed, what you've learned, and if it is still beneficial. It's really a beautiful time. On the 14th, we've got a new moon happening at 21 degrees of Virgo, and we've had your 4th house, home, family, real estate, property, your roots. It has been under review for weeks because Mercury's also been retrograde over here. But a good thing to think about is, again, to flash back to your life last year during Virgo season, okay? What was going on in home, family, real estate, property? Because one of the things that Virgo is absolutely phenomenal at is picking out patterns, okay? The discernment of patterns. So, and that is of real service to ourselves because the way that you become the best version of yourself is you understand your patterns, right? So, how is this year different pattern-wise than what you've had in previous years in your life? And your pattern is not going to lie. Your thinking will lie. What comes out of your mouth can lie. But your patterns, especially if you will put them on paper around home, family, real estate, property will not lie to you, right? And from there, we can address the pattern and see how to make it, Virgo, the very best that it can be. Bring something in that is you're ready to improve it. Now, it's interesting because at the new moon, you're planting your seeds of intention of where you kind of want to pull your energy in together, really focused, really concentrate on attracting the things in that you need to help you in your home, family, real estate, and property zone. But this particular moon is actually in an opposition to Neptune. And while it is happening, Mercury is not out of retrograde yet. So there may be, especially around any of the Virgo things, a health-related issue at home, a contract-related issue at home, a routine at home with the family, what actually makes you feel secure in your routines at home in a daily routine. It can feel like there can be confusion. There can also be Neptune, some deception. Someone is not giving you the full facts. So again, I would ask you to breathe and tread with some confidence and some caution, because you need to have some time to get clear on what's really going on here and how to handle it moving forward. Now, just a day later, we do see Mercury coming direct in the energy of Virgo at 8 degrees. And we've watched this retrograde go from 21 degrees to 8 degrees, okay? So those are the degrees you've been working with. And again, it's in this 4th house. So decisions, contracts, communications, plans, something maybe that you were planning. Virgo is absolutely related to health. So what has been going on in your health zone that needed a big fat old review? Absolutely. As Mercury has been retrograde, where have you had a perspective shift? You had a plan that was going in a certain direction and you're like, oop, course correction, had a complete change of mind, complete change of perspective. You found out information that has changed, like especially about your social circle. It's changed the way that you're making decisions and who you're making decisions with. Now, as this Mercury comes direct, I want you to keep in mind that it's not fully out of the cycle until we get to September 30th, and Mercury gets to get all the way back to that 21 degrees of Virgo, okay? But things should start to move forward. If you needed to sign a contract or make a decision or something with your family, this could be a time that it's actually very good. On the 23rd, we see the sun moving into the energy of Libra, and it went into this area of your chart last year as well. So again, I ask you to reflect back. When we entered into Libra season last year, into your 5th house, what was going on in your life around taking a risk, romance, conception, whether that's conception of babies or conception of business ideas, taking something that was just for fun and actually expressing it outwardly in a hobby or turning it to a business. Children, what's been happening for you around children? What's been happening for you as the child of someone, right? That's really interesting, because when we're talking about the 4th house, we're talking about our family, our parents, things like that. But you are someone's child, whatever that looks like, okay? You are someone's child. So what has also been happening for you here, that as the sun is back, Libra is looking for balance, looking for peace, looking for justice. The ruling planet of Libra is just out of retrograde and not fully out of its cycle. So where do you even have a past perspective on this particular area? So again, the way that we love, who you love, the romance that you're allowing into your life, the level of peace and serenity and relaxation and play and restoration and expression that you're allowing into your life, where are you seeing this season as opposed to last season, where you are willing to have quality, not just quantity? Where are you seeing where you owe an amends to someone? You didn't show up in the best version of yourself. Where are you seeing that you have to forgive and heal and bring an internal peace to an amends that you may never get from another person, right? Because sometimes we go sideways in partnerships and that person passes away or they move away. We can't hear from them, but we still have an opportunity during Libra season to bring balance into our lives through practices of forgiveness, through practices of understanding all sides. This is a real big deal. This would also be something just absolutely changing for your children. I mean, it's September. If you've got kids or you're around kids or around that childlike energy, this could definitely be a time where the bringing in the noise is coming up for sure. As we're going to close out the month on the 29th, we're going to have this beautiful full moon happening in the energy of Aries. And for you, this lights up your 11th house space. So again, this is a social moon for you. And it's going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Okay, but it's bringing all of the light in the sky to our attention. Now, the North Node is also traveling in the energy of Aries, pulling us towards, as a collective, and towards a destiny point where we need to go moving forward. And it is really about where you're taking your own leadership, your self-care, your belief in yourself, your ability to begin something new, to be an initiator in your own life. And in the 11th house, it's really interesting because under all of the light in the sky, you get to look at your social zone, right? The friends, the organizations that you are connected to, anything having to do with group activities, including social media and things like that. But also things having to do with humanity, just in general. And where are you taking a lead to fulfill yourself, to use yourself as the voice of the we? That is a beautiful integration between the Aries and the Libra vibration. Now, one of the things I do want you to kind of think of is two things, really. First of all, when we're having an 11th house full moon, it might not be you having a challenge that you're having to take to a group or to a friend or something like that, but like a friend or a social grouping, or if you've been sick in some way and you haven't been tending to your business, your groups or something like that, those things may show up and actually need your attention, because it's like you've needed to recover and you've been a lot in the me, right? But the we still needs your attention. So you might have some decisions to make upon what you're doing there, because we're always looking in an opposition to find the balance, the sweet spot in the middle between my needs and my wants, the you and the me, this whole the me and the we dynamic. But whatever it is, as this full moon pours in for you over this 11th house space, I would ask you to look at any revelations, epiphanies, emotional connections that light up for you, where you need to assert yourself a little bit more in your social dynamics, okay? All right, absolutely beautiful Gemini friends. Please let me know how you are doing, how the month is unfolding for you, what you've got going on. And Geminis, if you've really, truly had something going on with your health from that Virgo vibration, please let me know in the comment section down below.